Hi everyone, I'm Paige Abbott, registered psychologist in the province of Alberta. And this is just a reminder and disclaimer that videos and self-help materials are not a substitute for professional therapy. If you are having any issues, I would strongly recommend that you contact somebody in your local area for proper assessment and treatment as needed. This week, I honestly don't even know what the title is or what the topic is. It just really struck me as I went through this kind of humorous saga with myself that our brains play some crazy tricks on us. And that's something that I talk about often with clients, and I wanted to talk about with you today. So behind me here, you see my friend, the chair. This chair, we haven't been friends for very long. We just met a couple of days ago, actually, and our relationship started a little bit rocky. I went to the wrong store to pick up my friend, had to go to a different store. My friend was pretty heavy, needed to be put together, so I had to lug them up in pieces up the stairs, assemble them. That wasn't necessarily an easy task, but voila, now there they sit. The reason I'm focusing on my friend the chair is it was during this whole saga that I really started to notice some of my own tricks that my brain plays on me acting up, and it certainly got me thinking about the tricks that clients have talked about over time that their brains play on them. So one of the main things that I noticed with this is I did notice some all or nothing thinking. So I've recently moved into a new office, and in that journey I left behind a chair that I found quite comfortable. My body has some aches and pains, and I do find I'm quite picky about what I like to sit in. And so in transitioning to this new space, it's been, again, a bit of a saga to find comfortable chairs that suit my body and my needs. And I thought I'd found that, but turns out after a week of working and seeing clients, nope, that wasn't quite what I needed. My brain then started to worry. Was that the only chair, the one that I'd left behind, that would suit my needs and my body? Is there going to be another chair out there for me? And this reminded me of what I've heard clients talk about, particularly with relationships. They can come up with objects and things as well. But that fearful thinking of, is this it? Is this the only person and the only relationship that is going to be available to me? Well, lo and behold, just like there are other chairs out there, there are other relationships, there are always choices and other things. It's just that transition that definitely can be difficult as we move from the comfortable place, even if it's kind of comfortably uncomfortable, to the new place, new relationship, new thing, whatever it happens to be. So there was some of that kind of fearful all or nothing thinking that popped up, and then started to worry, would this be good enough? So there started to be perfectionist thinking that comes in. And that reminded me of all of the perfectionist thinking that I've heard over the years from people, mostly put on themselves, but it can certainly spill over into external relationships and things and other situations as well. But perfectionist thinking is such a trap because, of course, it's a completely unrealistic standard. We're never going to be able to be perfect. We're never going to be able to achieve the heights that our brain tells us we should or that we need to. And so then we get caught in this loop of chasing perfection, and when we don't meet it, of course, that flares up shame and self-doubt, guilt, regret, sadness, frustration, a bunch of different feelings. So hopefully, just as I was able to shift into, you know what, let's try to focus on good enough. I need something that meets my needs, that suits my body. It might not be perfect, and I may not know right away how it works for me. So that's the other thing, that the brain can be very impatient and want results and want that perfection now. It's not willing to wait and see how the process unfolds. So those were some of the kind of main traps that I found my brain being tempted to fall into. And I'm sure you can relate to one, maybe two, maybe even all three of those traps. But then the question becomes, how do we move out of these? Certainly, we can use self talk. We can remind ourselves and coach ourselves from the inside using our own thoughts and dialogue to remind ourselves that these are not the only relationships or objects available to me. We can remind ourselves about progress, not perfection. We can remind ourselves to be open and flexible and to stay in process. And self talk is a very valuable tool. Sometimes it's challenging because sometimes our brains just fall into those automatic loops and patterns, and so we need to use self-talk to gently steer ourselves back to reality when we're able to catch that our brain has gone off track. So if you are practicing self-talk and getting a bit frustrated, that's probably that perfectionist in you and the impatience that's flaring up, saying that this needs to be perfect and this needs to happen on my time frame rather than on the time frame that's appropriate and going to unfold. So steering yourself back when you can. And another main thing that can help with these cognitive traps is establishing a fundamental routine in your life that's based on diversity. So looking after yourself physically, looking after yourself emotionally, developing healthy relationships that are authentic, that are unconditional, where you can be yourself, where you can get as well as provide feedback that's loving, constructive, and worthwhile to the people around you. We need to look at our spiritual foundation, that idea of connection. So what does that mean to you? How are you connecting with other people, humanity, nature, religion, a feeling of connection to the universe, whatever that looks like for you? Doesn't have to look a specific or a narrowly defined way, but it is something worth exploring and considering for you. We do also need to look at our cultural needs, so maintaining connection to cultural practices and traditions that are meaningful and important, both to us as well as to our families and our heritage. We need to look at financial health, so looking at budgeting, looking at healthy spending, and making sure that we're comfortable with where we were at financially with the balance of the input to the output. And then cognitively, so how do we fundamentally look after ourselves at that mental level? Obviously, looking after all of these other aspects of health will aid in cognitive health, but adding in some extra tools, keeping yourself cognitively challenged, and this can look like puzzles, games, learning a new language, learning something new generally, a new skill, a new hobby, a new craft, a new trade. But it can also mean something as simple as taking a different route on your way home, encouraging and developing neuroplasticity, opening up new pathways for your brain rather than having your brain just get stuck in being stagnant. So that's the gift of things like my new friend the chair over here, is as much as my brain is kind of shaken up by the change, I just want to go back to the same old comfort zone. At the same time, I can also appreciate that even just being in a different physical structure offers something different to my body as well as to my mind. So that will help to keep me healthy moving forward. And even these flare-ups of those cognitive traps and that cognitive rigidity is not a bad thing. It shows us where we're at, it shows us where we're vulnerable, and it shows us the path of the work that we need to keep doing, both using self-management tools and techniques, as well as any professional treatments and supports that we may be accessing or that we access down the road. I appreciate you going through a little bit of the saga and the journey with my friend the chair. I'm hoping that we have a nice long relationship together, and it certainly is one that I'm willing to explore with openness by staying in process and recognizing that it will increase and improve my cognitive flexibility. Thank you so much for watching this video. I would really encourage you to subscribe to the channel. I throw up videos randomly, so if you want to get notifications of when those new videos arrive, please do subscribe as well as hit the notifications bell so that you'll be alerted when new videos come your way. I appreciate you going through all topics related to mental health, emotional health, addiction, all that good stuff. I love the work that I do, and I'm so grateful that you're here to share this part of it with me. Take care and bye for now.